Hello, everyone. My name is Matt Mahoney. This is something I've always wanted to see from other cinematographers and colorists. We're going to take a look at a film that I recently shot called Breakup Business, and we are going to take a look at what the image looked like coming out of the camera and the graded version, so you can kind of see how far the image was pushed and kind of what we did overall. So without further ado, let's take a look. All right, so this is the opening shot. It's in a building called the Biddle Building in Philadelphia, and it worked out because of the existing installation there with the double Bs. So this is a quick introduction sequence to our character, to his world, and this kind of gets you into the vibe of the film. And here we are. This is a very short scene. This is actually me in my car. This scene kind of opens up what this guy does for a living. So as you can see, we just kind of dropped the blacks down a little bit. And I'll talk more about this in the scene that follows this. I try to get this mostly there in camera. So one of the big things I should mention is this film, the entire thing was shot with a Sony A7S. Because once a year I pick a film to do for free as a way to give back to the filmmaking community. So as you can see here, there is just some contrast brought back into the image. We're working with I think at least 7 stops of ND here, which you can see that teal coming through the sky, and we kind of correct that back to blue. But overall, I want to get everything as close as possible in camera, while giving myself a little bit of latitude to play with. My big thing is color accuracy. I like to get everything as accurate in camera as I can, or at least as close to the intended look. So here, this pretty challenging, right? So it's a sunny day, but there's clouds going in and out all day. So the majority of this scene here is shot with a 6x half grid over the actors, with a flag to cut out any unwanted highlights, and a bounce board, a big bounce board. That's kind of bringing our level back to the actors and letting them sit into the scene a little bit more naturally than how they would look otherwise under really harsh sunlight. So ideally, I would have flown, big silks overhead and really softened the whole scene evenly, and then brought in additional light to give them bigger highlights, bring them out a little bit more. You can see that Jacqueline here is against white boats. So yeah, I mean, this is kind of the limitation that you're working with these small movies. I just try to make I try to make everything look as high quality as possible, regardless of the size of the show that I'm working on. So the A7S was a great option for this film because we had to be so quick with our setups. We had to be so quick with moving the camera. We had to be so quick ripping through pages. So you'll see here the sun's poked out a little bit. And as always, you're fighting the weather, fighting the clouds, fighting the sunlight. Without the big lighting instruments and big light modifiers, this becomes increasingly difficult to do. So there we got John stands up. Obviously the sun went in there. That shot was way cooler. We warmed that up. Overall, though, this is not a humongous departure from how the scene was initially shot. And then they make out, and boom, we're out. So let's go back and address some things in specificity. Let's go back and address things in specificity. So I'll try and do this very quickly. The opening scene here is just a bounce board bouncing back on John, and you'll see kind of the limitations we were kind of working with in this next shot. of him, which is kind of a close-up after he checks out her butt. Here, you can see that sun creeping around onto the bridge of the nose, the bridge of the brow. Now we're back here, same setup, just a bounce board back into these guys. You'll see as Mike passes it, the shadow goes across John. There we go. And his face lightens up. Bounce board, light sandwich, as they say, but it's quick, it's fast, it looks good in this application, in this scene, so we went with it. And here it's just a big bounce board. I think it's a 5x5 or whatever. I made it from a custom piece of foam core cut from Home Depot. It's a big bounce. It's putting that return back into her face. On the wide, there's nothing. We waited for the sun to be right. And then on John, he has a 6x directly over him for his mediums and his close-ups, with a bounce providing some return. So you can kind of see he's squinting more than Jacqueline is. Because the boats behind her are very bright, and I've also got a big bounce board in his face. Sorry, John. And then that's it. That's the setup for this scene. We had to be really quick and rip through the pages. I don't know if you caught that. You could actually see the script in Jacqueline's hand there on John's medium as she was kind of feeding him lines. But these scenes they're a lot of fun. I took a lot of inspiration from I Love You Man, that kind of look, that comedy look. I didn't want the cinematography to call attention to itself. I didn't want the grade to call attention to itself. I just wanted to get out of the way and let the comedy come through as this guy's he's not an actor, but he's absolutely ridiculous. And he was a lot of fun. So yeah, other than that, I just try to stay out of the way. I let the scene kind of dictate. These scenes kind of dictate how they end up looking. This was shot at Morgan's Pier a few hours before they were open in Philadelphia. You can see that shot was way cooler. The sun had gone in. We just corrected the exposure. Here is nothing on this wide. There's nothing here modifying. Once we get in tight, we actually have a bounce board above both actors, trying to get sun back down into their face, while also softening everything. So that's it. That's it for that scene. But again, I thought it was cool just to be able to see what the film looked like while it was being cut, and how it looked like when it was finished. So if you like this one, I appreciate you watching. And we're gonna go through and do all the scenes in this movie, and I'll explain everything, how we did it, and what it looked like prior to final color correction. Thanks for watching.